Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Somebody, anybody, really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.
For the Majors Americas region, it comes down to this final round with Japan's famous Super Formula cars at Japan's famous Suzuka circuit. Just 10 points separate Dowd and Challenger for the championship, while a single marker separates their teams. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Suzuka Japan. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Blue Carl alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the 2025 Major Series Japanese Grand Prix. Today's coverage from Suzuka is brought to you by the Major Series, by Majors Garage, and by Whiplash Simcams. 24 cars are signed into the top split of the Americas region. This is the racetrack we're at, Blue, with some fantastic Super Formula race cars.
These cars having high downforce were practically built for this circuit. You see turns 1 through 7 there. All very high speed, all very quick, and absolutely enjoying these cars. The Degnas, once again, very fast, very quick. You won't see a lot there, but the hairpin, first hard braking corner of the lap. You come around, spoon, 130R into the last few corners. which are the last few opportunities to overtake in a very fast, very hard-braking chicane.
This is a real
good one here.
Yeah, this is a really cool racetrack. It's definitely a high downforce racetrack. The bigger, boxier cars with less downforce, they're still fun here. But this racetrack, I think, really thrives and is really shown off really well with high downforce race cars like we have here today. If you're brand new to Super Formula Racing, so are we. It's going to be a learning process all evening long, but we've got some point standings to set the stage. Let's take a look at where drivers are at coming into this evening. Again, these are your driver standings. Nathan Dowd up by just 10 points over Christian Challoner. Nobody else is close enough for the championship. It's just these two on top, but there is still much to be decided down in these lower positions. Look at the margins, even beyond Nathan Dowd and Challoner for the championship. Everything from like 10th to 20th could absolutely flip around, and even an extra couple of spots beyond those. A lot of this midfield in this America's region is going to flip around, and you know what? That means that all the lower championships, if you will, the different divisions of driver basically, are going to be that much more interesting as well. There are some different divisions of driver. This is the overall or pro point standings for drivers in the Americas region in the major series in 2025. There are some other delineations that would just be a little bit too much to get into in a broadcast like this, but for more on that, you can check out the website later on. And here's the team standings, and this is where things really tighten up, Blue. I mean, that is really incredible to have Giga Racing Team and Sector 5 Racing split by just 1 point, essentially even into the final round.
Huge decided here on the final race of the season. Of all races, we're really getting the 2021 Formula 1 experience here. It's
incredible how wide open just that battle is. Just between those two, because it's a massive gap back to Udox, Lola, Dog Bear Bark, and everybody else here in the Americas region. It is just so special that we've seen these two teams be so even through the course of 2025. There isn't a lot to talk about with the schedule. Here's a brief look at it. We won't stick on this for too long. We're at the last race, race 12, Japanese Grand Prix, Super Formula, Suzuka GP Circuit. I mean, there's not much more to talk about. We've gone through all these events. They've been fantastic. This is a really, really cool slate for the major series this year. I'm excited to see what 2026 is going to bring. But that said, let's go ahead and get into the iRacing.com sim, because we are just about ready to go racing this evening. Practice is happening in the background, and we can take a look at kind of who's fast, maybe who's still trying to get up to pace here in this practice session. There's a look at championship leader and possibly champion to be Nathan Dowd. Robert Nash sits second in practice. I think more importantly though, Christian Challoner, the challenger, is third so far in warm-up.
This is going to be a tight one here, and in such a complicated car compared to how almost simple the rest of everything else is. Simple in the way of electronics. These cars, out of everything that I've seen raced through the season, are probably the most complicated. So this is really going to be a test of skill and endurance for these two potential champions.
I don't disagree. I think this definitely might be the most complicated car excuse me, that we have this season. If you don't know anything about Super Formula race cars, let's take an onboard here with Christian Amate and kind of show you the cockpit, the onboard, while I talk about some of the specifications of these Super Formula race cars. There is a Honda and a Toyota. However, we'll get into more about the Honda later. The Honda not being used today, it's a whole situation right now between the two. But basically, it's a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine with a 6-speed paddle shift gearbox. Really light car, 670 kilograms or about 1,500 pounds. 550 horsepower for these little race cars, which makes it that much more fun. Really cool power weight ratio. And then it technically is 550 plus because it does have the push to pass. Again, that we'll get into in just a little bit once we get to racing. This is a pretty special car. It does have a turbocharger. It's a formula car, I think, in all respects. It's a really cool car.
And you know what? I cannot wait to see them be raced here. This is the first iRacing Super Formula race I get to see. This is the first Super Formula race flat out I'm getting to see. I did try to drive one of these around Monza, and I had quite the split a few times.
Let's take a look down the starting grid this evening. On pole, it is going to be Ross Banfield in car number 777. Christian Challoner will start to his right side, it looks like over his right shoulder. Starting from third, it'll be Nathan Dowd. Austin O'Neill from fourth. Fifth and sixth, Austin Peterson, Christian Abate. On back, it's Robert Nash, Brian Bennett, Lyle Callisto, and Eric Dalla Riva through your top 10. 14 more starters: Lyndon Swaby, Sebastian Jackson, Chris Willard, Shane Vickery, Daniel B. Johnson, Nick Kuhn, Joseph Homan, Lynn Kinchlow, and Wayne Hutchison and Joseph Cardamone make up your top 20. 4 more, those are Jason Wallet, Bryce Roberts, and Bob Beltrami alongside Brian McGreevy. Here we go. The lights are out. We are waiting on the green lights now in Suzuka. Everybody hold your breath. There's the green flag racing down the front straightaway. Suzuka Circuit, the final round of 2025 is underway. Through turns 1 and 2, nice and tidy, properly into Snake and into these S's for the first time as a field. Here we go, Blue. One car off.
Someone run off in the background there. You saw the 2 championship fighters there going side by side through Spoon, or not Spoon, sorry, turns 1 and 2, I'll keep them with that. But they seem to have mellowed out for now.
This is just lap 1, of course, of a long race, a full formula length race, if you will. 53 laps in total. Here's a look at Whiplash SimCam's race details. A 53 lap, 307 kilometer race, 100% fuel out there, unlimited tires for these drivers to use. We suspect there will be one main tire and fuel pit stop somewhere in the midsection of this race. Open setup, admin can throw full course yellow if needed. With that standing start you just saw, we will also have single file restarts if they are required. Here we go, Christian Challoner on the left side of Nathan Dowd, already a fight for what could be the championship.
You look down on his little wheel there, you'll see that overtake's on. You see all the lights flashing. That means that the push to pass is open. They are burning a little bit of extra fuel just to get that bit more power into the car, try to get past on the straight. Absolutely daring through 130R there from the champion.
Nathan Dowd on the outside there of the first big apex in 130R, or rather the Casio Triangle. Here we go down the front straightaway. Side-by-side drag race between cars 7 and 1. Down to turn 1. It's a heads-up fight between these two. Nathan Dowd inside, Christian Challoner outside. This is for the championship, and it's only lap 2. Oh my gosh, wheel to wheel, sensational stuff, and Christian's gonna win out there. That is a big pass for Christian Challoner early, and look at the push to pass they've already used. The right side of our scoring column there, that shows you the push to pass they have left. So that shows you out of 200 seconds that they can use through the entire race with a 100-second cooldown after each use, that shows you how much is left. They've each already burned 36 seconds.
It's a bit of a strategy game with that. You don't get any of those 200 seconds back, so you have to either make it count now and get that far ahead from the person who's chasing you, or you have to save it for later and keep close to everybody and hopefully pull ahead.
Battle right behind. This is Austin O'Neill, Austin Peterson, and Christian Abate. Abate will get the spot away. It's going to be Austin O'Neill right behind with Austin Peterson falling into 6th. This is 4th, 5th, and 2nd on the racetrack. Robert Nash just behind. There have been some moments out there on the racetrack, but honestly, the championship battle out front was just too good. And you know what? It's the last round of the season. We don't need to show any mishaps, I don't think. Well, many mishaps. I think we'll let them get away with it for now. One car slow, though. That was Austin Peterson. Maybe serving a slowdown potentially. He falls back into the hands of Brian Bennett. Now, I mentioned before, we only have the Toyota as a selection for these drivers today. You see the TRD logo, and you'll see on some of our graphics, we had the Toyota logo there as well. It was noticed during the International. Never mind, hang on. Brian Bennett deep into turn 1. Contact with, I believe that was Austin Peterson. And that is no front wing and possibly some suspension damage. A bunch of gravel now on the racetrack. That's a big hit for Brian this early.
That's just gonna hurt. It doesn't matter what place you're in, that hitting that so early into the race, it wears you down. And I think we're gonna see a tow here in a bit.
It's going to be a really rough lap. Turn 1, you lose your front wing. That means you have no front downforce the entire rest of the lap to get back to the pit lane. It's going to be really tough for Brian Bennett to make it back around without too much more issue. But back to my point, during the international time slot late last night, it was noticed that there seems to be some kind of issue with the Honda having too much push to pass. Now, I don't know if it was a session setting or what have you, but if you have any issues, if you notice any issues, there has been a call from admins with the Major Series to kind of get some information. So if you're in the Majors Discord, contact them with some info and they can get a report sent to iRacing. That's really the only reason I want to bring it up. I don't want to focus on it too much because it is unfortunate, but at the same time, if we can get it fixed, we'd love to do so. So if you do have more info, again, the Major Series admins, I believe, are preparing something to send to iRacing to hopefully get that fixed later on. At the front of the field, Ross Banfield is out to lunch by 2.5 seconds and setting the new fastest lap that time. We are just on to lap number 4 here, Blue, and already it seems like Banfield might have this one kind of in his hands.
A win of the race for sure, and I'm happy to see Banfield out in the lead. Honestly, championship contender all season from what I've seen from him.
Lionel Callisto, teammate to Nathan Dowd, is in trouble. The 2-car turned around here at the beginning of the snake, and the car seems okay. I don't see much damage, if any. Ryan Bennett, though, has made it to the pit lane, and that's also a teammate over at Sector 5 Racing. So Sector 5, this is not how they want to start things in that battle versus Giga Racing Team for the championship.
Definitely isn't going to help the standings. They have to finish well in order to get points. I mean, something as simple as hitting another car and going off, that just won't be good.
Yeah, the first challenge, of course, to finish. The second challenge to finish well. Here's Ross Banfield in his Toyota. Out front, started first through pre-qualifying, has been out front all race so far. That's only 3 laps, make it 4 here in a moment, but still a pretty solid start here for Ross. That said, look at the gap, the delta between Banfield and Challenger. It's starting to come down a little bit. I don't know if Ross is just taking it a little bit easy right now and Christian's pushing. I do suspect Christian is going to treat this as kind of life or death push because you kind of have to win this thing. But Christian's starting to run that 777 down, and look at that. Christian Challenger fastest that lap. And that was with no push to pass.
Now, I didn't put any laps in prior in the Super Formula, but I will say this general car and track combo, even in the Super Formula Lights, which is the series below this, is already really, really challenging. So them somehow managing to pull out more to push is an insane thought to me.
Yeah, you know, I took a handful of laps last night and earlier today, just trying to get myself accustomed to it, and wrapping your brain around this race car is definitely challenging. I will say, it's certainly... It's not the speed kind of challenge that you find in Formula 1. But Formula 1 definitely, I think, has more grip when you get it to operating pace. The car is just naturally, they're built that way, literally to make that much more grip. So in some ways, maybe the Super Formula is a little easier to drive, but also in some ways a little harder to drive. I think there's equal amount of nuance to these cars, and they're each, in my opinion, top levels of Formula racing in their own respects. Formula 1, of course, is kind of the boss still, but Super Formula, definitely an underrated form of motorsport across the world. Here is Joseph Homan around out of the hairpin. The car seems okay, so we'll let him keep going. But in just some practice laps, I'd say probably 20-30 laps that I turned, just getting used to this car here, it's a lot of fun. It really truly is a really cool car combo, car track combo. I think these guys are going to enjoy it, but certainly going to be worn out after 53 laps. It's a long race. It was honestly a struggle to link more than like 5 together because the tires get a little slidey. Certainly once they get to temperature, you suddenly have a lot of grip, but then you're on the edge of that grip the rest of the run.
And that's not even talking about, you know, a direct drive wheel and how hard it is to turn that sometimes.
Yeah, no, I have a Logitech G29, so I know there are much better wheels out there that simulate the forces much better, but I will say my Logitech has treated me well over the course of time. I like it, but I know there's definitely, you know, higher steps up that ladder.
You know, about I just got a upgrade to a 9mm direct drive wheel here, and once again using the Super Formula Lights for reference, some beautiful side-by-side coming out of the S's. It just about 20 laps or so, my wrists were killing me.
And you know, I heard some conversation in the international and Euro broadcasts about this. I think drivers kind of underestimate how fast these cars truly can go. You know, if we bring up the telemetry graphic here on Joseph Cardamone, we're pushing 175 here into Spoon. Like, there is still a lot of speed in these cars. They have to handle still really high Formula level speeds. Again, not quite Formula 1 over the course of a lap, but still really impressive race cars as Chowder goes faster and continues to reel in Ross Banfield. But also, I think this racetrack is really grueling, really tiring. There's really nowhere to rest until you exit Spoon, and then you're just stressed about will the car stick through 130R. And I think for most of the run, these cars will stick. Lap 1, if you don't get your tires completely up to temperature, might be a little sketchy. Otherwise, you should have grip the rest of the run until really, really late when the tires get worn out. Then it might be a little bit kind of lift a little early just to make sure the car makes it. But here's a nice battle between Daniel B. Johnson and Brian McGreevy. And that fizzles out pretty quickly. There is Lionel Callisto and Joseph Cardamone behind these two. This is for 14th and 15th. But you can see as these guys run through the S's, there's just nowhere to rest. It's right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. I mean, do you get my point?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's no rest. Your mind's completely on the next corner, the whole race. At least even as something like the Norge Life, you have that one super long back straight that you could just relax during, let yourself drift off, maybe fiddle with your pit stop settings or some sort of car setting. But this track, they don't give you that opportunity.
On board here with Austin O'Neill, who runs in the 6th position. Christian Challoner continues to go faster, but has now stagnated. Dirty air certainly is a thing. I didn't run any laps with any real people, I will say, but I ran some AI laps, which is still a decent compromise, and definitely getting behind other cars. You notice a big difference in grip, so there will be some stagnation, I think, in Christian's approach to Ross Banfield, but it seems like Christian's got the car to get up there and start to battle, so we'll keep an eye on that as time goes on. I do want to mention, we want to take a look at, let's see, yes, this camera right here. What this points out is something that everybody watching this broadcast needs to keep in mind. This is kind of the best signal to all of us that a driver is using push to pass. So the quickest way to tell from any camera angle, if you can see the front of the car, you can see that roll hoop, that green light over the driver's head. If that's flashing, that indicates typically the driver is using push to pass actively. If it's a slow blink though, it does signify the driver is in a cooldown period. Again, it's 100 seconds between uses. If it is flashing red, that typically will signify that the push to pass is under 20 seconds remaining. Thankfully, nobody is anywhere near there yet. Although, you know what, Joseph Cardamone has used a decent amount. If we pull up the push to pass telemetry there on the ticker, Joseph Cardamone running 14th spot is down to 98 seconds. He's already used over half of his allotment. We're only on lap 8.
That's a lot. This brings back the strategy I was talking about earlier. Is do you use it all now and get ahead of the field? Or do you wait to use it and you hold on to it until the end?
Makes the pass there on Brian McGreevy, and McGreevy falls back now to Lionel Callisto, who makes the pass on Brian. So McGreevy down 2 spots, Cardamone and Callisto up a spot each. But Joseph Cardamone, it's going to be an interesting challenge for him now to manage these battles the rest of the race. Callisto is on the button, or was on the button briefly. He's now back in cooldown mode, and this will, hang on, let's find the right camera. Yes, this is the slow blink. This signifies Lionel Callisto is in cooldown and is recharging for that, well, I say recharging, that in air quotes, kind of recharging. You alluded to it earlier, it uses extra fuel to go faster, but in air quotes, recharging for another run at it. Meanwhile, look at this. This is Christian Challener's on board. The gap ahead down under a second, Blue. We're only 9 laps in when they come back around to the start-finish line. And we've seen Christian Challener now run Ross Banfield down from 2.5, 2.6 seconds back. He's nearly made up 2 seconds.
I have to say, just in the time I've been in here, the pace I've seen from Challener, it seems like he doesn't have it, and then he just gets it. Like, let's talk about Bathurst. Last race we did here for the majors, Challener was running 3rd, 4th, and he pulled the win out there through a fantastic pit stop. And I mean, that also requires having the pace to do that, and he has it. He just finds it sometimes, and it's kind of astounding to see.
Really impressive run already, and we're only on lap 10 here for Christian Challener and the rest of the field. Running down race leader Ross Banfield. Nathan Dowd is now 2 seconds in Christian's dust. And again, in the context of this championship, if they finish top 3, the way Garen Batten put it, and I'm a little skeptical, just safely, like human, naturally skeptical, just because I can't believe how close this battle truly is. But the way Garen Batten put it in the podcast, the Majors Inside the Majors podcast, is basically the top finisher. If they both podium, the top finisher can get it. But Christian essentially needs to win. I mean, that again, that spells out what Christian needs to do. I think Christian knows that. And it's just go out there and leave it all on the racetrack and see what Christian can come back with, in this case, trying to pursue another championship. And I mean, in this case, he's already, look at that, down within 0.6 now. Slipstream City here on the front straightaway. But then, through turns 1 and 2, back into the S's, it's going to get tight. Going to lose front downforce. It's just a balance here. And, we say there's a lot of passing opportunities at Suzuka. The S's may be kind of written off unless you're desperate. There are still a lot of great passing opportunities, but in Formula cars like this, it does get a little more difficult, Blue, just because of aerodynamics. It makes it very difficult to properly mount a charge, and we're starting to see that already for driver number 1.
It is something that you do have to highly consider. It being behind someone also, lets you use less fuel, lets you save it. It lets you use less of your tires. You might not need to change them at your pit stop potentially. So there are huge advantages to being behind someone. But the question is, can you afford that extra safety? Which is more of a question specifically for the driver we're watching, Christian Challener.
I believe the call out was 6 seconds that it takes to replace these tires, about 20 seconds to fully fill the tank. And, on a day where the pit window is so wide open, you might see some drivers take a short load at the start of the race. It is open setup, they can do that. Take a little less fuel now to run a little faster, make a little more lap time, understanding they're still going to take, however long in the pit lane. Of course, the general meta, though, is to minimize time in the pit lane, so it'll be interesting to see what these drivers actually end up doing in practice and not just in theory here today. There's a lot as far as what they can do, but I'd imagine the top couple of strategies end up being very, very close, and I don't think we're going to see too many of the front runners stray too far away from the same strategy overall. I'd say the top 4 or 5 will probably stay pretty similar in terms of what they actually do in the pit lane, when they pit, and all of that. Again, I do expect a full tire change somewhere around halfway with a full tank of fuel. I think that is kind of what everybody's expecting. Watching these two, though, down about a half second around the hairpin. Ross Banfield still leads. Christian Challener, 2nd place. Nathan Dowd about 2 seconds back. Add a little change to that. No pressure from behind, though, for Nathan Dowd. He can just run his race right now and not worry about the cars behind. The only thing he needs to worry about is not letting Christian get too far away. I don't know that he can get up there and pass Christian Challener. I think that might be a little too tall of an order for Nathan Dowd. It seems like Christian really came to play today, but in terms of managing losses, I guess, Blue, you don't want to lose sight of him. You want to stay close enough to see him and at least know that you gave it your best shot to hang with him. If he's going to clear you, if he's truly got the pace to walk away from you, you just don't want to lose sight and leave here knowing you gave it your all.
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier, is Challenger needs to just about win. So I think what Dowd's doing is he's saving his tires and letting Challenger burn them out, leading to hopefully either a later pit stop where Dowd can run his tires down and gain a few seconds on Challenger through the pit stop, or he's going to wait till Challenger burns them out before the pit stop and try to pass then, and then hopefully coming into the pit stop will still come out ahead, pretty much no matter what he does.
On to lap 13 now of 53, and Christian Abate's just had a problem. Maybe not. He did have a problem for a moment. It seems to be connection difficulties here for Christian, and I noticed this during warm-up. I was trying to follow him to, verify cameras and everything, verify graphics, all that, but he kept having blinks, and it seems that this issue has subsided somewhat, but persists here during the race session. This is something he's going to want to manage, and of course we know, us iRacers that have been around for long enough, will know that in these faster, higher lateral Gs, formula-type cars, any netcode is going to be exacerbated by any issues with net connections. There we go. I lost all my words because I saw this happening. Christian Challenger setting up a pass there on Ross Banfield completely took the words out of my mouth, but he has to wait at least another couple of corners. It was a valiant effort there to get a run in the back straightaway through 130 yard into the Casio triangle, but he's going to have to try it again.
I just want to mention, you don't see Challenger using his push pass this early. I think he settled it down in the first and used, what was it? You said 30 seconds?
36 seconds.
Exactly. So I think he's going to save it until he really needs it here.
Right side of the timing tower, you can see it currently. You've got the delta between these two on the bottom right, but left side, or right side rather, of the timing tower will show you just how much is left for each of these drivers. 191 seconds still for Ross Banfield. That indicates he used a little bit there at the start to get away and has conserved the rest since. So he's used 9 seconds of the 200. Meanwhile, Challenger and Dowd each used 36. It was 33 seconds used for Christian Abate, about 54 seconds so far for Robert Nash, and you can kind of see from there, the only two in the top 10 that have used none so far, Eric Dalariva and Lynn Kinchlow. Some good battles deeper in the field. This is everything from about 17th spot on back. Nick Kuhn, Brian Bennett, Joseph Homan, Bob Beltrami, but here we go. So as it seems the connection has reestablished, we are loading back into the iRacing.com sim. The network here at Broadcast HQ just completely dropped. So it's one of those things sometimes that Unfortunately, ISPs don't always want to cooperate. That was one where I could see that the network just completely dropped to zero, stay there for a solid 30 seconds, and slowly start to come back. But we are working on getting back in. Bear with us here just a moment, and we should be back good to go here in just a moment.
Very sorry about that, everyone. The internet dropped. I am able to see things going on in the sim here, and after that move at the chicane there, I can confidently say Challoner has passed Ross Banfield. There's about a 1 second gap between the two. So far, they have mellowed out. Dowd's still in a bit of a world of his own, though a bit closer to Banfield than we saw earlier.
And it does look like we're back. Oh boy, it's
okay.
Something we never want to have happen. Obviously out of our control. That was entirely ISP based there, but we are getting back to it. Bear with the graphics for a moment. It might take them a second to readjust, but this is Christian Challoner. Seems to be lapping Jason Wallet in the 23rd spot. That is who he just passed. So 2 lapped cars now in Jason Wallet and Bryce Roberts. Everybody else still on the lead lap as 1 car pits. Shane Vickery into the pit lane just as we get back to full picture here at the virtual Suzuka circuit. Ross Banfield not far back, and the leaders are all coming in. This seems early. We might be 2 stopping.
You know, me being in the sim allows me to hear the race control channel that's on. And do you want to take a guess on what I just heard coming from race
Caution.
Control? 2 minutes until full yellow caution. We will be getting
boy.
it very shortly here.
And Banfield gets ahead of Christian Challoner. This is big. This swaps the leaders right back around, so we have a yellow on the way. I didn't think we were actually going to have it. Yes, it's on the way. It's green now, but this gives everybody kind of a moment to hit the pit lane, because if they throw a full course yellow through the sim, it will lock down the pit lane where you can't immediately pit. I know that was actually the subject of some conversation in the Discord earlier today, so I think this is why they're doing that. Everybody hitting the pit lane. Everybody.
And you know, if you get a free stack of tires and a quick splash up of fuel, you might as well take it.
So everybody is at the pit lane or is about to. Your top 2, though, other side of the racetrack, there's Christian Challoner that close to Ross Banfield. Nathan Dowd in the background. Nathan has been so good this season, and if we get a proper chance, I want to speak on that. His drop result currently would be 5th place, which is just absolutely insane to think about. He has been so good. It's a shame. As good as Christian has also been, I think it'd be fair to say, I think Christian might even agree, over these first 11 rounds, I think Nathan has overall been just slightly better, and technically the points support that. But I think Christian's got him covered up today. There's the caution, full course yellow. We knew it could happen. This puts these guys in a really interesting spot, Blue. These drivers were good for about 30 to 35 laps, I think, 30 to 35. So this puts them kind of on the edge of what they can do to get to the end of the race on fuel. But I suspect if there is a way they can make it on fuel, they're going to find a way to make that happen. And Ross Banfield slows all the way down here. You saw the iRacing.com safety car leaving the pit lane there on the front straightaway. Nathan Dowd picked it up, but the leaders kept going on by.
I believe they were out before the pace car was properly out, but I heard race control come on over the radio and tell them to get back behind it, so...
So this is similar, of course, to what was done at Bathurst, if I recall, right? Did we have a caution at Bathurst? I don't recall now. But
we had 2 cautions at Bathurst, I believe.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so this is more similar to kind of the, I would say, like, kind of a laid-back approach, where admins, of course, give these drivers the notification, hey, the caution is on the way. It's kind of basically a warning to pit if you want it, and then the caution will be thrown, and it just turns it over to iRacing to handle most of the actual procedural part of all of this, in contrast to what's been done in events like the Majors 24. So this is a little bit more hands-off, and I think for this kind of round, where you have 3 time slots over the course of a weekend, and you know, this is the 12th round of a season, I think this makes a lot of sense. I'd imagine it's probably 1 race controller, maybe 2, working this particular split right now, if I had to guess.
I believe there's actually 2 for both the splits at the moment.
Yeah, so I would say in contrast to the Majors 24, it's a little bit more lightly staffed, I would suppose, but yeah, it gives these guys a chance to worry about other things as opposed to kind of wrangling or herding cats, as the saying goes. It allows iRacing to do the herding of the felines in this case. So regardless, everybody gets packed up behind the iRacing.com safety car. They will still have a chance to pit this time around, I believe. But you see Bob Beltrami going by the safety car. That gives him back on the lead lap. The other driver that will need to do so, or, well, is a lap down, might not have a chance to do so, is Bryce Roberts. Although Bryce does seem to be slowly making his way through the field. It seems Bryce may go by as well to get a lap back, and that would put everyone back on the lead lap then in this Japanese Grand Prix.
And I just want to mention this little caution here. It's going to shake up the race that we had. We got Challoner and Dowd right next to each other. Banfield's just ahead. He's able to hold both of them back. I believe the restart is single file. But yes, we may see...
I did make sure to put that in the Whiplash Simcam's race details in case we ended up in a caution scenario. It will be a single file restart for any cautions we do have today. And it's interesting, the international race had none. The European race had 2. So far we have 1 here. With about 2/3 of the race to go, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a second at some point. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see just this one. I do want to touch on the Cody Williams designed weather conditions. We haven't looked at that yet. 67 degrees in the air. Of course, these are Fahrenheit temps. 79 degrees on track. Not too crazy. I mean, that's probably 27-ish Celsius for the track temp. Not too bad. Humidity, manageable, a little high. But it is overcast skies, so that kind of makes a little bit of sense there. So overall, decent day for racing. Nothing too crazy. I think this is well within kind of what these drivers are looking for in terms of having grip on the racetrack. I want to give a big thank you to the partners that do make these events possible. Sorry to cut you off there, Blue, but Majors Garage certainly for this entire Major series and everything they do behind the scenes at the Majors, and every extension thereof, MEC, what have you. Majors Garage is a big supporter of it all, and a big piece of the puzzle that makes all of this happen. So a big thank you to the Majors Series, to Majors Garage, and as well to Sidspeed, kind of an auxiliary partner in the scope of this particular series, but a big partner of the majors in general, and want to give them a nod along with everybody else who makes these events possible. But I also want to make sure you get a point there. What was your point you had for us?
Oh, I was just going to talk about how beautiful these cars are, but if we want to talk about the majors, I'll figure I'm going to say this. With the MEC season coming up next, there is a system that we all very much like to run, which is Request to Tow, which also brings out a safety car. However, the majors always needs volunteers, so if anyone wants to do that, please go hop to the Discord and make a mention of it.
And I believe the 2026 majors and MEC calendars are being released tomorrow, is that correct?
The MEC calendar is out, but we don't have exact dates. I don't know if they are being released tomorrow. I would assume so, if that's what you heard.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings about that in the Discord earlier. I believe it was from Garen, but I might be mistaken. It might have just been that the 2026 Major Series calendar is being released tomorrow, but regardless, some news in the Major Series happening tomorrow, releasing tomorrow, so make sure to check that out as well. Before we go back green, I want to take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV the next week or so. A lot of short track racing. I know this broadcast will likely be viewed mostly by road racing fans because this is a road race, but if there was ever a time for you to try out watching some short track racing, some oval racing, it's this week. We have a bunch. We have 4 straight days of short track racing, 3 with the Sim Auto Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour, which runs late models throughout the course of the year. Biggest U.S. late model events of the year, basically, strewn throughout. But they do have a preliminary day tomorrow with street stocks and late model stocks. Then they have super late model racing Wednesday and Thursday. And in between there, you see the BRB Sundance Pro Series. Those are ARCA cars at North Wilkesboro for points on Tuesday. We are coming back around to, I believe, the restart here. iRacing.com safety car lights are off, and it will speed away to the relative safety of pit lane, meaning we can go back racing single file down the hill. We are green flag once again in Japan, single file. How's this going to shake out?
See Banfield getting a good pull away, good little launch off the start there. Of course, he's the one who gets to control it, so it's kind of given.
Clean through 1 and 2 into the S's now, watching Christian Abate. Rabate, rather, who did clear Robert Nash there on the start. Those single file starts, they can get kind of hairy, and Christian used it to his advantage. Got that 3rd spot, and Dowd goes wide there through Dunlop.
Not the spot to go wide. That uphill already so slippery, and don't even get me started on that off-track area.
Well, it's going to be a straight-up battle for 3rd place. Christian could put this on ice if he can put himself between Christian Challoner and Nathan Dowd. And I do believe those are teammates, Christian Challoner and Christian Abate, I think. They're certainly running very similar liveries, if not. But that would be a huge domino to fall if Nathan Dowd loses this 3rd position. That would be huge for the championship. On board with Christian Abate. We're about to wrap up this first lap since going back green flag. And there are some big updates to the push to pass. Look at this graphic now, or well, these numbers, I suppose. Same graphic, but none used on that restart by Ross Banfield. His total left, his total remaining, stays at 191 seconds of 200. But blue, you can see a bit more used by Christian Challoner, a ton used by Nathan Dowd. From 164 remaining down to 72. That was about 90 seconds on the button. And worth mentioning, if you don't know, this is a little different from other push-to-pass systems. You basically hit the button to turn it on, and then it's on you to hit the button to turn it off. It does not turn off when you release off the gas. So if you don't know that, you could accidentally use more push to pass than you want to. I would not be surprised to see a driver or two do that here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if we cut a couple of drivers out during the international Euro races, but that could potentially be a really big issue if you do leave that button on. Regardless, a bunch used on that restart by Nathan Dowd to maintain that third position over Christian Abate. Christian used a bit, it looks like, Robert Nash as well. Austin O'Neill hasn't used much this race, neither has Austin Peterson. Dallariva and Kishlo still have used none. On board now with Robert Nash into the Casio Triangle, lap 22 of 53, about to wrap up down the hill here. And there go the race leaders. These are the gaps out front. About 4 to 5 tenths between Banfield and Challoner.
Challoner in the slipstream territory, but he's also in the dirty air territory. That's going to make this S's portion very hard. That's going to make the Degnas very hard. It might give him a little bit of bonus into and out of the hairpin, however, being so close.
I would say, if anything, under hard braking into the hairpin, it could actually unsettle the car ever so slightly because you don't have that front downforce on the car, so you don't have as steady, pressure applied across the race car into braking. As there's a problem here for Nick Kuhn. Oh dear, this is a really awkward spot. I think this is the cut through for the east course that he just impacted. So this is around the Dunlop corner section of racetrack, I think. Yes, it is. Oh my.
Just gets up on the curb. That curb right there, I can tell you from experience riding Suzuka 1000 this weekend, very slippery.
Here's the onboard. Nick Kuhn with a very large impact. I wrecked myself like this very similarly, actually, practicing for this event, and boy, yeah, that's how I knew where it was right away. Because I knew when I went back to look at it in replay, the camera position's just a little bit hidden from that spot, and it's a big impact when you do mess up right there. Here's another look at it for Nick Kuhn in car 19, kind of overhead. It's the curbing ever so slightly. I mean, he just touched it, and that's a fast repair. Leaders now through the Degners. Ross Banfield 6/10 over Christian Challoner. Christian seems to be a little more slowly paced this run. He's not right up on Ross Banfield when he could have been a little more easily. Do you think maybe he's banking on there likely now not being another caution and potentially going green all the way and having to manage these tires a bit longer?
I think so, and I think that's a safe bet, honestly. I mean, I'd say that's safe. That's a safe way to think about it, and I think that's probably the best way to think about it. Save the tires. There might not be another caution, and when you do get that call for a caution, it is 2 minutes. These cars can lap the track in under 2 minutes. If you put in just one real good quality lap, you get all the way around real fast.
Big problems now for Daniel B. Johnson. This seems to be through Spoon. This is the exit of Spoon. For Daniel, car just gets loose. I'll be honest, I've wrecked exactly like that as well. I've done exactly that in my own practice. Oh boy, I feel a lot better now that I'm seeing these guys who I consider kind of the pros. Now that I see these guys making these mistakes, it makes me feel a lot better about it, but it's not going to make them feel any better. Here's the onboard.
So not only did I wreck it just like this multiple times in the Super Formula, I did that in a GT3 as well.
I want to go back on board actually and maybe slow it down if you know anything about a turbocharged race car, listen in when he gets back in the gas and when the turbo kicks in. I wonder if that was just the turbo kicking in for Daniel. And it seems like there is definitely that aspect to the power curve. You can lightly start to get in the gas, and it's not too crazy, but then when the turbo kicks in, there's a lot of power suddenly, or at least a lot more, and the car can sometimes get a little free like that on power. That might be what happened there. I'm not entirely sure. I do want to say Nathan Dowd is much closer this run as well. So these top three much closer together now. I think they're all realizing kind of the boat they're in, and they're all just trying to get through these laps and get to the end of the race and then sort it out then.
I mean, Challenger bringing in definitely an advantage to the end. This is a very easy track, I would say, to defend around. But also, he has simply the push pass advantage, as we were seeing earlier. Dowd having less than 100 seconds, Challenger still having over 100 seconds. I think Challenger is kind of relaxing. I think he feels like he can take Dowd on when Dowd does decide to come and try to attack.
Oh, that was a moment there for Nathan Dowd that easily could have got away from him. These guys need to be careful of the paint that lines the edges of this racetrack. I think that was all that did it for Nick Kuhn when he came around Dunlop, and frankly, I think that's all that did it there for Nathan Dowd. I don't know the science behind it, but it seems like, especially in Dunlop, if you just touch the paint there, the car can get very, very loose and get away from you. I'm not going to say lucky break of the day just yet. I'm not going to say it's necessarily lucky performance, lucky break of the day just yet for Nathan Dowd, but that might be a moment we look back on as, you know, that was just a small little save where if he hadn't been quite so quick with his hands, he could have been out of the race.
And you know, I think another thing that definitely doesn't help with the spinning and the overcorrections. How much have you actually looked at the elevation on this track? I mean, just look at that coming down to the last little chicane at the end there, coming down into the main straight, and even the main straight. Nice big downhill that whole way.
Yeah, there's a lot of elevation change here at Suzuka. From very high highs to very low lows throughout the lap. It's very much downhill in the opening portion of the circuit, and then uphill kind of all the way up the hill, literally, through to Spoon Curve, and then kind of back down. You level off a little bit through 130R, kind of like you do here through the Degner curves. It definitely uses the lay of the land very, very well.
Absolutely. Even those Degnas, you can see them drop. And just look at the elevation through the hairpin here. You have to be really careful putting on power. You don't want to put on too much and spin it, but you also don't want to be slow on this huge straightaway.
Through 200R up to Spoon Curve. These are your top three in the Americas region. And I would say it's certainly the last handful of rounds, especially on road courses. It has been these three easily. I mean, it was these three at Bathurst just a few weeks ago. It has been these three to decide these races in the Majors Americas region. It's been a lot of fun to watch these three in particular. Ross Banfield, Christian Challenger, and Nathan Dowd. And Nathan's getting a lot closer all of a sudden to Christian Challenger. Christian kind of seems like he's stagnated. He's hit a wall almost behind Ross Banfield. These guys, of course, they all know the fuel situation. They all know the boat they're in. Question is, how do you actually approach it? I theorized maybe they would save and just have enough to go to the end. Does maybe Nathan feel like he can't go? Is that maybe why he's pressuring Christian a little more? Or does he feel like he's saved already confidently in order to pressure the one car into a mistake? A lot to think about.
A lot to think about, and not a big enough boat to hold two. You can only have one of these, and you see those two right there. Those two, your championship leaders. Those two, the possibilities for the championship.
We'll keep an eye on them as we check out some of the rest of the field. This is Joseph Homan and Shane Vickery for 15th and 16th. Ryan McGreevy also battling with Jason Wallet back here for 17th and 18th, with Bob Beltrami in the 19th spot. And then a little bit deeper, Bryce Roberts sits in 20th ahead of Chris Willard, who is now 21st. Those are some of the close battles on the racetrack. Joseph Cardamone is spun around, driver out of Australia. I see some front wing damage.
Definitely a hit there for Cardamone.
Let's check out the onboard for Joseph. And then we'll come back to live picture with the race leaders. This happens out of the second Degner curve. This is Dunlop. Around the bend, Degner 1 coming up, then Degner 2. Really tough apexes, maybe the most challenging corners on the racetrack. Just gets a little bit too power happy and just noses it into the barrier there. I mean, he just barely hit it.
Yeah, between the curb and just a bit too much on throttle through it. Yeah, no, car wasn't happy with that at all.
Lap 29 here of 53, over halfway down. The sun's starting to come out a little bit. Watching the race leaders, Ross Banfield, Christian Challoner, Nathan Dowd. Ross has led most of this race. There you see, this says 11 laps because we came back in a little bit late after the connection dropped the first time. But even then, since then, 11 laps back in the lead. It's pretty impressive for Ross Banfield. He's led the entire opening portion to about, lap 10 or so, lap 11, and then has led since the restart.
I believe Banfield had pole position, did he not?
He did.
Absolutely monster run from Banfield so far. Dowd, however, also looking for a monster run, coming down to the 130R on Challoner here. 0.2, 0.1 second gap between.
Backs out.
He's smart. He knows not to dive for it.
I just think it's too early, and frankly, the upside to him running behind Christian could be rather high. You know, he can try and save some fuel on these longer straightaways. Maybe that's part of the theory behind it. You know, if he stays this much closer to Christian, maybe he can save more fuel that way. Maybe that's the benefit he gets out of running that much closer to the back end of the one car. No matter what the actual benefit is, he is a lot closer this time around. Obviously, you want to be there in case there's a mistake or just to make a pass later on and whatever, but I don't know. It's definitely interesting how different these two sections of the race have been so far. The opening, 12, 15 laps now to everything since the caution.
Now, as mentioned just a bit ago, we are just a few laps over halfway, and I think we're at a bit of a stalemate part of it currently as we see a car round.
Lionel Callisto, car number 2. Problems there in Dunlop. That seems to be a popular corner here today. Saw Nick Kuhn get loose there earlier, and I suspect this is going to be the same kind of thing for Lionel Callisto. Watch here in just a moment. He's going to track out through the left-hander and just touch, not this left-hander coming up next, just touch the paint on the outside of the racetrack right. Well, you don't even see it there because it's behind the trees and the fence and everything. I'll find a view, don't worry, but I saw it for a moment in the replay preview. So let's see here for Lionel Callisto. Right here, tracks out. I mean, he's not even hitting rumble strip. That's just paint. Something about that paint on the outside of Dunlop is ice.
I think it's between the paint and getting down on the throttle coming into an uphill. I think that combination just unsettles the car and gets it all nice and loose and can be a little bit inconsistent at times.
I mean, he just touches the white paint. That is incredible. And of course, he's got to back it up, get out of the way, and get back on his way. A nice job by Lionel to minimize issues there for himself and everybody else as we watch our leaders through 200R here on lap 31 of 53. Again, a full 300-kilometer race here today. This is going to wear these guys out by the end of it.
They're going to take real good naps at the end.
Yeah, they're going to sleep well tonight. Especially these two. You know, well, one of them is going to sleep well, the other might be up all night.
Can only have one winner here in the major series. You see Dowd throwing out a little look-see. I think he's trying to get into Chandler's head here. Chandler knows that Dowd can make the pass, knows that he will make the pass. It's just a matter of how much am I going to watch him attempt to make the pass.
Yeah, you know, the opening 20 laps, I even said it after the restart, I felt like Christian was just better and had Nathan covered up. Now, I'm going to walk that back. I feel like it's back to being heads up between these two, and I would say even Nathan has been very open about the fact that he's not terribly confident in these open wheelers. Didn't really know how this last round was going to go for him. I think he might have even been one of those guys that still had to purchase the car coming into this round, at least leaving Bathurst last time out. So for him to be immediately up to pace with Christian Challoner, who I know is a little bit better of a driver, certainly in these open wheelers, these single seaters, this is pretty impressive. I think Nathan has caught on very quickly, and I don't think he gives himself nearly enough credit. I gotta say that. All season long, he's kind of downplayed his success, but Nathan Dowd has been so overwhelmingly consistent. He's been top-fiving everyone to death. Again, I said earlier, based on the Inside the Majors podcast, his drop round, his drop result is 5th. 5th. That's his worst result of the season then. I mean, that is incredible. Nathan Dowd, I think nothing against Christian Challoner, but I think Nathan has easily been the most consistent across the board. He has led the championship since round 1, leaving the Daytona 2.4. We did just have a car slow. That seems to have been Joseph Homan. And I do quickly want to check what happened to the 122 car as our leaders work through the S's. Just got loose and spun around.
A few cars having to avoid here, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, just an inopportune spot. Got back in the power a little bit too hard on corner exit. And, you know, if you haven't driven here before in an open wheeler, this will give you a big taste of what it's like to try and feed back into the power, especially from the very inside of the racetrack like that. Joseph was way down on the inside, got back to power, and it just came around. You can actually help that by running a little bit higher through that corner and kind of straight lining the exit. So kind of coming back down, but he was right on the inside, very tight to the apex the entire way around, and that played into it. But with about 20 laps to go, Jason Wallet, Bob Beltrami, Brian McGreevy all battle here 15th, 16th, 17th. So, you know, in the scope of there being other positions to sort out, I think we're going to see a lot of these battles get a little more important for a lot of these guys who are trying to hang on or trying to make spots up in the points. It's going to start to matter more and more lap after lap, not just for our championship contenders, but also for these guys in the midfield who want those bragging rights.
Looking for side by side. Can we get it coming into Spoon? We will not.
Maybe. Wallet outside, Beltrami inside. It's not over.
Here we go with the drag race coming down. Expect to see some push to pass here potentially.
No push to pass yet. Wallet just used his about 80 seconds ago. Beltrami on the inside there through 130R. Now Casio Triangle with McGreevy in behind. Beltrami has used no push to pass so far. Wallet has used all but 82 seconds. And he'll be out of the cooldown here in just a moment. Do we see more push to pass from Jason Wallet? Well, here comes Beltrami on the inside. He's going to just send it up on the inside of turn 1. Beltrami takes that spot back away. Beautiful. Exceptional racing here in the midfield. in Super Formulas at Suzuka. This is stuff we love to see. This isn't even close to being for the lead. For the lead, I mean, they are some 47 seconds ahead. Here they are. And once they decide to race, it's going to be even better.
Some push pass coming out from Challoner.
Yep. There he goes, 130 yard, big send on the inside of Ross Banfield. He has decided this is his moment. Outside now of Casio Triangle, back on the inside here. He's gonna get the spot away. Christian Challoner takes over lap 34 at Suzuka, but Nathan Dowd is just behind. He's now hitting the button. Here it goes.
Coming into turn 1 here, taking the inside. Absolutely beautiful pass from Dowd. Banfield back in third. We got Challoner, Dowd, and Banfield 1, 2, and 3.
And you see the numbers remaining. 114 for Challoner, 63 for Dowd.
Dowd's looking to run it thin, but I think they're getting ready to run each other down. We're in the later half of the race. This is about the time where you gotta start pushing it a bit harder, start thinking, I gotta get this guy, I gotta get him now.
We're going to need the mathematicians, for sure. I don't want to say confidently at all who's going to win this championship if they finish like this. I don't know for sure. I've heard, again, that, you know, if they top 3, it's kind of the highest finisher, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. We're going to have to wait on the mathematicians to get involved and figure out who truly is going to win this championship should they finish anything like this. I mean, this is, again, just incredible what these two have done this season, how close they're making this championship. Christian Challoner out ahead, Nathan Dowd second, just 4/10 back as they re-enter the Casio Triangle here. And the wild card in all of it, you know, what's Ross Banfield going to do? Is he going to try and get involved? He's still got 191 seconds of push to pass. And do we get another caution?
Well, you know, I think one caution, honestly, it's just about perfect for a race.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think that one caution was good to spice things up, and I do hope to see this pit strategy come to fruition here, because again, it's pretty close to the edge of what I've heard of being the philosophical range for these cars. I don't know the exact range of how far they can go, but I know 30 some odd laps we've been pushing the tires for quite a while, and we are now getting to the point where they've run about as long as they still have to go, if that makes sense. So if you split the time from the restart in half, they're approaching that, or sorry, if you split the time remaining, the amount of laps from the restart to the end, if you split that in half, they're approaching that halfway mark very, very soon. So I think we're going to start to see these drivers' hands be played, I would say, within the next 5 laps. Kind of what they're actually planning to do as Dowd gets close there, but no dice on Christian Challoner just yet. It is still oh so close for the championship. Back on the button. Nathan Dowd gonna take a stab here at turn 1. And that's a big send out of Nathan Dowd, championship leader since Daytona. He uses the button to go right on by Christian Challoner, but now Christian's got a full minute of advantage over the number 7 when it comes to that push-to-pass button. Should they get back to battling? Should Christian have an opportunity? He's going to have so much more in the tank.
Coming into the later stage of this race, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking Challoner has an advantage. He has the ability, and I believe he can push it past Dowd here. But will he?
Yeah, you know, I definitely think Nathan and Christian are much more even than I once thought. I still think if I had to give an edge to either driver, just based on what I've seen in these opening, 36, now 37 laps, I think Christian might be a little better, but here we go. Back on the left side now. Christian Challoner deep there to the Casio triangle. Contact between these two. They're not done. Here they go down the hill. It's going to be a run out of Ross Banfield. He's going to put his nose in the middle of this. Could we go 3 wide? Challoner gets boxed in. He's on the button. He goes to the right side rather. Banfield also hit the button. Challoner, though, on Nathan Dowd is going to get that spot back. Dowd goes from first to third.
Just a repeat move of what they pulled on Banfield, keeping Challoner in second, however. It's now Banfield, Challoner, and Dowd swapped back around.
That was incredible once again.
Absolutely
this is
beautiful.
Amazing.
I will say we saw a bit of a risky move from Dowd. He blocked Challoner off and was letting Banfield move. I don't know if you saw that bit of a swerve there. I don't think we'll see anything come out of it. I just want to bring it up.
Majors Garage confirming in YouTube chat that if they both finish on the podium, whoever finishes ahead will win the championship. So I wonder how concrete that news is to Christian Challoner. Does he know that he doesn't necessarily have to win this race? That he could finish second, potentially, and still win the championship over Nathan Dowd? He's a hell of a race car driver, though. He's not going to want to settle for second, especially to win the title. He's going to want to win this one. The cooldown now expiring for these drivers. Austin O'Neill gets on the button. He's a while behind the next car, though. So the button, or the over... Jeez. The cooldown expiring for Banfield and Challoner. These are the numbers they're left with at the moment, as Banfield goes fastest at a 1:35.8. That is blistering. By the way, Challoner and Dowd have each matched laps like that earlier in the run. Last lap for Challoner, though, a 1:36.5. For Dowd, a 1:37.0. But you see the numbers remaining. Still a full 3 minutes of push to pass for Ross Banfield. Nearly 2 minutes for Christian Challoner, and inside of 1 minute for Nathan Dowd. Exactly 2 minutes for Robert Nash, and about a minute and a half and change for Christian Abate, and still Lynn Kinchlow has used none so far in this race. Neither has Bob Beltrami, who's actually in a great battle here on the front straightaway with Shane Vickery. So while the leaders separate for a moment, look at this little fight. This is for 14th.
I'm liking Beltrami so far. He's given some good racing from what I've seen. Good overtakes, good passes. He's got a pace there. You see he started 23rd. He's in 15th now.
Leaders tighten up one more time through 130R into the Casio triangle. This will complete lap 39. We will have 15 to go. Still unsure exactly when or if these leaders still need to pit again. A 1:35.5 though for Christian Challoner. Their pace does not indicate that they need to pit, I will say. They are driving like they are good to the end. I don't know exactly how long they can theoretically go on a tank. I just know that 35, 40 laps is pushing it on these tires.
Tire situation is definitely going to be tricky, I think, once we get a bit later into these 40s here. It's going to be interesting to see them try to manage it. See if they come in just for tires and don't take fuel.
Top three have just been amazing here today. The last two races really go back to Bathurst. That was a fantastic round, and they've continued the same battle on here. From full-body supercars to now light and nimble, I would even say petite formula cars. These super formulas have been amazing, though. I gotta say, this is our first real experience with them here at Pit Stop TV. I've done one other super formula broadcast for another channel, but this is my first real proper experience with them, and understanding all of the context and everything, this has been fantastic. This is a really cool form of motorsport that I think deserves a lot more attention.
You know,
13 laps to go. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think this is a good time to think about lap traffic. You know, if you look at the timing there, you know, 1 minute 12 seconds for Hutcherson to being lapped. That's, you know, running 130s. That's probably about where, compared to the leader, about at the hairpin right now.
Let's see. Hutcherson is into Spoon, so there's a little more time there for these drivers before they hit this lap traffic. Hutcherson now leaving Spoon, Banfield through the hairpin. That kind of tells you the space they've got to work with. These lap times, again, they're sitting at 135s, 136s or so. Hutcherson, the last lap, of 138.6, so he's losing, 2 to 3 seconds per lap. I would say it's going to be within the final 5 laps if this pace continues for each of these drivers, Hutcherson included. It'll be in the final 5 laps that they actually get there on Wayne Hutcherson. And then they might get to Chris Willard and Bryce Roberts as well. So, if this pace does continue, if there are no pit stops, it is going to be interesting to see how lap traffic will play into it. And I think it's actually a brilliant point you just brought up. If this pace continues, we may have lap traffic within the final 3 laps even, which is just going to make it all that much more complicated as Banfield rips off a 135.3. Blistering. I could only muster up a 138 at one point in my practice times. Granted, that was on the default Suzuka setup. These guys are really getting it around here. Late in the run, older tires. Granted, these tires are up to good temperature and they're on lighter fuel loads, but man, they are still really getting it around here right now. Well, as much as I don't want to jump the gun on this here, Blue, it is just about that time. I think we can give it till 10 to go. But at 10 to go, we've got to start to make some nominations for driver of the day. And, if we look at the positions gained throughout the field, obviously, the top 3, their numbers in positions gained is 0. But I think there could certainly, obviously, be cases made for each of those 3 drivers. But there are some others throughout the field that I think are worth looking at. Lynn Kinchlow is up 9 positions. And Lynn has hardly hit the button. Actually, has not yet hit the button. Has not hit the push to pass at all yet. So Lynn Kinchlow still has a lot in the tank in that regard. I could see a 7th or 8th place here for Lynn before the end of the day. Absolutely.
Lynn's been a fast driver all throughout the season from what I've seen. Definitely a driver of the day nomination here. 9 places isn't anything to scoff at. I think that's more passes than a Formula 1 driver makes in a race more often than not.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. A very good point. So you see kind of the adjustment these drivers made. Robert Nash also up 3 spots. That's pretty impressive there. 5 spots for Jason Wallet, considering Wallet was lapped at one point. For him to be back on the right side of things and moving up in the field is very cool to see. So we're at 11 to go. We'll give these guys just a little bit longer. When we hit 10 to go, though, it's going to be time to make those nominations and settle in the driver of the day vote, because boy, there is a lot to talk about with that, and obviously that even comes secondary to the championship battle that is still yet to be decided between Christian Challoner and Nathan Dowd. 1 second separating those 2 drivers. And we talked about the weather conditions earlier. I want to also bring into mind the date and time. This is April 6th in Sim in the afternoon. Being that it's April, we could still see these temps go up, and there you see it is overcast skies, but that ambient temp has crept up by 1/10 of a degree. The track temp hasn't changed much. That might be up slightly, I feel like, but it's very static, and we don't expect rain. I know there was rain in the European race. We do not expect rain here in this America's race. It's going to stay a little more simple for these guys in that regard. So everybody continues on here. No pit stops yet out of these drivers. We do now hit 10 to go. I'll put you on the spot here, Blue, for the final time this season. Who you got for your 2 nominations for Driver of the Day?
And you know, I was really hoping you were going to take it first, because it's tough, because I want to put all of the top 3. They all have been fantastic to watch, not just for the season, but even just this race. I mean, that there are 2 fights down the front straight alone. That's just fantastic. But you brought up a wonderful point with Lynn Kinchlow. I think I'm gonna have to go Challoner and Kinchlow here. I think those 2, someone take, in the lead here, taking it up here. You see Challoner coming around through the hairpin. Fantastic driving, hasn't made a big mistake that I've been able to see yet. And even just limiting it to this race has been wonderful at fighting, has been wonderfully conserving the push pass here. I mean, not more so than Banfield, but Challoner's also fighting for, the championship in front of Dowd, so I think he gets a little slack there. And
there you see Christian. Here's Lynn.
And yeah, Lynn not using any of the push to pass, making up 9 positions from the start, going from, doing my math here, should be 18th, coming up to P9 within the top 10. That doesn't matter how you put it, that's just fantastic driving from Lynn.
Now, if I want to get into Driver of the Day, I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past, specifically the last few rounds, the pressure that Nathan Dowd has been under and the fact that he has not yet cracked through this pressure. He just continues to persevere and perform at the highest level of the major series and the highest level that anybody could ask him for. Nathan, a fantastic job again here today. Maybe a notch down from Christian, but consider the fact that he was open about the fact that he was not as good coming into this round in this style of car, this style of track. Had a few questions about it, and he's still performing really, really well. He is still at the top echelon. He's led a lap in this race. He's swapped the lead at the best of them, and he could still win this championship inside of 10 laps to go. I have to throw in Nathan Dowd, and I want to go Bob Beltrami or somebody out there as Lynn Kinchlow hits the pit lane. Bob Beltrami did pit, so he's now down the order, so it doesn't look as impressive for Bob. There's a number of drivers that I want to give a nod to. Robert Nash, I think, would even qualify. Jason Wallet, Bryce Roberts. But I would not be able to sleep tonight if we nominated second and third and did not nominate this guy, Ross Banfield, who put it on pole in pre-Q and hasn't led every lap here today, but has led a majority of them, certainly. And of course, he doesn't have that championship pressure to persevere through. He has the pressure of being kind of the extra in the battle, right? He's kind of playing a spoiler to it, so he's got to be extra careful in how he navigates it. He can't get in the way of them. He can't affect their fight too much because he doesn't want to spoil the championship. So in that regard, in that scope, in that aspect, I certainly cannot pass up Ross Banfield, especially when he's driving at this highest level of the major series like this. He is doing a fantastic job along with Christian Challoner and Nathan Dowd. I love that we got Lynn in there for kind of a sleeper pick. I wish we could have got 1 or 2 more, but I just think it would be an insult to this top 3.
I just have to mention, while you were talking there, coming down the front straightaway, I only see the back there, Beltrami, I believe that is, holding up Nathan Dowd.
I see the gap. Yeah, let's go back and take a look at it since we were focused kind of on Banfield at the time. Let's go back. This is going to be front straightaway here for Nathan Dowd. Bob Beltrami there on the right side of the racetrack, so it seems like it's going to be through the S's. Is that correct?
Yeah, just through the S's. Nathan wasn't able to catch him in time, and then, the S's up until the hairpin. That's a very hard spot to let anyone pass safely.
Yeah, but this is tough. It's just a bunch of switchbacks. Left, right, left, right, left, right. There's not much you can do here.
Yeah, and looking at it, Nathan's a lot farther back than he was when we started talking about driver of the day.
He was already quite a ways back when he got to Bob. Bob didn't hold him up that much. I mean, maybe a little bit there on the Degners. Something already happened to Nathan, I think. I'm going to go back and do one little exploratory dive here. This is maybe something happened in... You know, something happened in Spoon. Maybe he got a little bit loose or something, but I don't want to spend too much time on this because we are right down to the nitty-gritty here. I think the handle is just going away. I think it's just old tires, and he's starting to face the fact that these guys have gone, what, 29 laps since their pit stop.
You know, I'm looking back a few laps, and you just kind of see it. It just faded away here.
Just how it goes sometimes. Looking at the push-to-pass numbers, they're on the right side of our timing tower now. 171 remaining for Ross Banfield. Still nearly 3 minutes there. A minute and a half or so for Christian Challoner. I mean, that is nearly double, though, for Ross versus Christian in that regard. And Christian's on the button. On the button. Green dash page. Trying to reel in race leader Ross Banfield here. We're going to have, I believe, 6 laps to go this next time by the stripe. And there is lap traffic ahead. Much more than I initially thought. This is going to make things that much more interesting here to the end of this race. Back off the button now for Christian Challoner. And in that cooldown period, but you see it has paid dividends just using those 13 seconds. Boy, fastest lap as well. 135, 135. There you see the multiple cars ahead. 3 cars directly ahead of Ross Banfield. That's going to hold them both up here through the S's. One goes left.
And coming out of it, you got to think about the multi-class strategy of this. Do you try to use the lap traffic as to your advantage and attempt to make a pass through it?
Whoa! These guys closed in on those 2 cars very quickly. Those are Bryce Roberts and Chris Willard, who now go a lap down. And Nathan Dowd's going to have a harder time passing them, maybe. No, he gets by okay. One car actually off. I think that was Chris Willard. Yes, it was. No contact to the barrier, thankfully, for Chris. He will keep on moving. But boy, that was scary there for a moment. Push to pass still being displayed there on the timing tower on the left side of your screen. Does Christian get back on the button? He's still on cooldown for 5 more seconds. If anything, this looks like he might be squaring up to go at it one more time on the front stretch. I think Banfield has to be expecting it. I would not be surprised to see them both hit the button here on the front straightaway.
And considering how much Banfield has left, he can spend it quite a bit here.
They can both be very liberal at this point. Remember, there's that 100-second cooldown. That is longer than a lap here at Suzuka. Neither of them hit the button that time. They're both staying very conservative. Which, you know, makes me wonder. You had the great point ahead of this broadcast. The push-to-pass button, yes, it's technically extra power, but it's not like a hybrid system like we see in other forms of motorsport. It uses extra fuel. Are they that close on fuel where they can't afford to use extra push-to-pass right now?
That is an absolutely wonderful potential that I entirely forgot about. I think that is the deciding factor. I think Banfield knows that. I think Banfield not being able to use a lot before that caution pit stop might have messed him over a bit here, but Challoner and Dowd using as much as they have even after the pit stop, I think I wonder if we can see him run short on fuel here.
Great minds think alike. I made that point, then looked over my 4th monitor to see the YouTube chat. Major's Garage is already on it. More push to pass equals more fuel, and that's also the case for Nathan Dowd. I mean, think about it. He's got 40 more seconds used as Challoner is now on the button here. Here he goes, trying to catch up again through 130R. Not going to have an opportunity here at the Casio Triangle, but maybe a better run now down the front straightaway. They hop over the curbs, and we'll have 4 to go.
You see him sticking on it through it. He's looking for the pass down this, right here. Down the front straight, nice and easy.
Still on the button. Challoner at 134.
Way closer.
Just couldn't get there.
That new fast lap, however, also showcases the power you get out of a push-to-pass system. It's immense.
It is incredible just how fast these cars can go. I mentioned towards the top of the show, these cars are powered by a supercharged inline 4-cylinder engine, putting out about, it's only a 2-liter by the way, putting out nearly 600 horsepower. That's pretty impressive. At one point, NASCAR Cup cars were down around that level, 550 horsepower with 4 extra cylinders. These are massively efficient and powerful engines for what they are. I love everything about these race cars. I really do. And some great battles throughout the field. Austin O'Neill, Eric Dalla Riva. This is for 7th. This is a fantastic little fight. I don't know how much more attention we can give it right now because we do have the leaders getting close, but this is really good to look at here. Lynn Kinchlow, Shane Vickery also racing. By the way, the game plan, I think the winning game plan here. Oh, whoa! Vickery into Kinchlow. Massive shunt for these two. And this is in front of more traffic. Wow.
That's dangerous.
That was incredibly dangerous. Kinchlow now spinning across the racetrack. Leaders are approaching. Thankfully, Lynn will tow. Here comes Banfield and Challoner side by side down the front straightaway. They've just gone through the gravel on the front straight. An opportunity here, Christian on driver's left. No dice. Dan Stevens now chiming in with just how much extra fuel it is. Nearly an extra liter per lap if you use the push to pass. That's incredible for one complete lap of push to pass. So obviously they're not using a full lap of push to pass each time they hit it, but that gives you an idea of just how much more fuel they're using.
Thinking about that incident, I can't but to think, oh, O'Neill hopping on the button, coming down the front straight here.
Beautiful fight. This is for 7th, inside of 3 laps to go. Austin O'Neill with the advantage into turn 1. Closes the door there, and Eric Dalla Riva. This battle, though, far from over. Dalla Riva fires back. Squirrely there on the exit of turn 2. Now into the S's. Austin O'Neill can rest a little bit easier. He can now put that dirty air on the front end of Eric's car and try to power away. But for the leaders, here we go. 130R, just a couple of more times. I don't know how much more button Christian can truly use here, and Ross has got a ton saved up in the bank. 2 laps to go this time by. It's going to be a fantastic final 2 laps here at Suzuka.
Earlier we were talking about how close Dowd and Challoner were. There's a 4-second gap between them now.
Yep.
I think Dowd's realized the use of the button and realized that it is messing up his fuel plan, which, as you brought up earlier, he's inexperienced in these cars. He might have very well not realized that it sucks fuel as much as it does.
I think the expectation, certainly, if you look at hypercars, if you look at Formula One, I think the expectation across the board is a hybrid system of some sort to tap into that push-to-pass system. I don't think drivers are expecting at first when they jump in one of these cars to be using more fuel at the expense of that button.
And I wonder if that's just led to Dowd having the fuel save. And I wonder if Challoner has realized it yet.
Well, Christian Challoner, as I said earlier, I think wants to go out on top if at all possible. That said, I don't know how many more swings he can take. Battles throughout the field. Dalla Riva, O'Neill into the S's. They've swapped spots from a lap ago. Eric Dalla Riva got back by. They've both been on the button recently. Eric Dalla Riva, none left in the tank. Austin O'Neill has 44 seconds left. Here we go, though. Race leaders coming to the white flag. The final lap of the major series for the Americas region coming up. This time down the hill. Lap traffic in, not the windshield, but in the sight of these drivers. On the button now for Ross Banfield. He can use it all here. White flag one more time around Suzuka Circuit. One more lap remaining in the major series in 2025.
And not just the last lap, you were right to say the last white flag for 2025.
The final lap of racing here in the major series this calendar year. What a season it's been. What a year it's been across all time slots, regions. 36 total rounds. Just incredible. We haven't talked much about the championship. Of course, we note that Christian wants to go out on top. He's got 3 lap cars that could play into it to help him do that. But right now, while, yes, he wants to win this race, if he just paces himself, he's got the championship lead reportedly by 2 points. He just needs to stay the course. It's been Nathan Dowd literally since the first checkered season of the flag flew way back at Daytona in January. Since the Daytona 2.4, no driver has led the championship other than Nathan Dowd. Just a couple of corners remain for Christian Challenger. You see the lap cars ahead. They're no bother to him. Ross Banfield gets held up. Maybe an opportunity here for Christian. But he knows now he can just coast down the hill. Christian Challenger takes a stab at it. To the line, it's a photo finish, but Ross Banfield wins at Suzuka, while Christian Challenger will unofficially become the 2025 Majors Americas champion. How about that? How about that for your first points lead change of the season?
Absolutely fantastic from Challenger. Wonderful try from Dowd. He just didn't get here.
Battle here to the line for Robert Nash, or rather Christian Abate and Austin Peterson. Eric Dallariva has just got a bit of a lead over Austin O'Neill, who is in cooldown. Actually, he's on the button. He's in his final few seconds. He might have just enough to get back on power a little bit quicker here. It's going to be sketchy. Austin back to power, trying to get there. It's not going to happen. Austin O'Neill will settle for 8th. Thrilling racing to the very last drop for all these drivers here at Suzuka. Ross Banfield, though, your race winner today. We'll talk to your top 3. And a usually quiet Nathan Dowd, I suspect, is going to be a little bit dejected by this. But a usually exuberant Christian Challenger, I could only imagine how excited he's got to be. We'll allow the final couple of cars to finish this race. Looks like one more to go before we go through your unofficial race results, just in case iRacing results change anything around. There's Brian McGreevy to the line in 19th spot. Just 5 cars, rather, it seems, did not finish this race. Those are being Daniel B. Johnson, Shane Vickery, Brace Roberts, Joseph Homan, and Nick Kuhn. But there is your unofficial 2025 champion in the Major Series in the Americas region. What a drive for Christian Challenger today. There you see the nod, the sign of respect from Nathan Dowd.
I'm also within the sim here, and I have their communications on. They both congratulate each other. I don't believe Challenger knew that he won it up until it was brought up by Race Control that he has won the championship.
That's incredible.
His celebration here.
That's incredible.
Fantastic season.
I can't imagine operating like that, not knowing. But I know for some drivers, it's the only way they can handle the pressure. The only way they can manage that is to just simply not know. I mean, you hear about it in NASCAR and Formula One races sometimes. Just don't tell me. Just don't clog up the radio. Just give me the pertinent information and that's it. Don't tell me the extras. It'll all get figured out after. And for Christian, he just knew he needed to finish as highly up as possible. I'm sure, again, he wanted to win this race. Comes up 1 spot shy. Led a handful of laps there. But it's enough to take home the championship here in 2025. What a drive. What a drive. All of the weeks and the months of wondering, how is it all going to sort out? How do you like this round, Christian? How do you like that round, Nathan? It all came down to this. After those celebratory moments from Christian Challenger, we will take a look back at your unofficial race results and see just who finished where here in the final round of 2025. Ross Banfield, of course, with the race win, blue, but that only tells part of the story. Ross with 46 laps led out of 53. Certainly a big number for car 777, an impressive number. Christian Challenger, though, you see within a tenth of a second, Nathan Dowd fell way back. And that, I think, tells more of the story. Christian was on it. Nathan, I think, just needed a little more. I don't know if it was a little more time in the car, a little more speed out of the setup, a little more fuel in the tank. I don't know. But he just needed slightly more, did Nathan, to close out this championship. But then you see the rest of the story being told. Truly, in the last few road rounds, it was these three over everybody else. 26 seconds back to Robert Nash, 33 back to Christian Amante, 34 to Austin Peterson, 54 to Eric Della Riva, 54 and a half to Austin O'Neill, 59 to Brian Bennett, over a minute back to Lionel Callisto. That is no insult to any of those drivers, 4th through 10th, just, what's the word, a compliment, there we go, to 1st through 3rd, and just how strong they've been. You see the next page there, 11th through 20th, Lyndon Swaby, Sebastian Jackson, Jason Wallet, the first car, 1 lap down, Bob Beltrami, shortly behind Jason, and a few other drivers have to settle for that 1 lap off the pace. Wayne Hutchison, Chris Willard, Joseph Cardamone, Lynn Kinchlow, and Brian McGreevy all 1 lap down. I hate that for Lynn. It was a great run going. I think Lynn just ran out of fuel, but you know what? For the run that Lynn had going, Lynn is leading the driver of the day vote. Keep voting for driver of the day. If you have teammates with me who aren't watching yet, get them the link, share the link, get them to vote. There's still time while we do these interviews. Brian McGreevy, Daniel B. Johnson, the final 2 in the top 20 there. 4 more cars on the order. Shane Vickery out early in that incident. That's right, that's what happened to Lynn, rather. It was that crash. It wasn't even the fuel, it was that crash with Lynn Kinchlow. But Shane Vickery, 21st. Bryce Roberts, 22nd. Joseph Homan, 23rd. And Nick Kuhn out early, some 30 laps ago. We're going to go ahead and change up the order slightly in how we talk to these drivers. Because Christian Challenger lives across the pond, we will talk to him first. I know it's later for him, and you know what? He's our champion. In 2025, Christian Challenger, it sounds like by driver's chat, maybe you didn't know, but unofficially at least, right now, you are the 2025 Majors Americas champion. Sum that up in a few words. How does that sit with you?
Oh, that was the hardest one by far. It's definitely the closest I've been ran, like, in any of these championships. Probably all the way back to, like, the very first one I did. I mean, like 2018, I didn't win. I lost, but I also didn't do a round, and, you know, it's kind of first season and everything, so it's a little bit different, whereas this was like, no, it was, you know, the whole time, and any mistakes over the whole season were just brutally punished. And obviously starting out first 2 rounds were not awesome for me. I was in a hole. I didn't really think it could be done. And then, you know, towards the end of the season, I started to think it could be done. So yeah, the hardest one by far. I mean, it's man. I mean, Nathan had like an awesome season. It was such a good battle. I mean, I'm gonna go back and watch that race because it felt completely insane. Like in it, like it was just so. It was respectful. Like neither of us were, you know, like doing anything I felt was, you know, wrong. We were just like, if there was an opportunity to make the pass, like we were going for it, and we would go side by side through places where you're just like, you wouldn't want me to do this. So it was really fun to be able to do that. It's been fun to be able to do that all season with him, really. We've had great battles, and Ross as well. I know Ross was out of the point situation, but it was, you know. It's always awesome to have a good battle with him, and you know, last year I was having a battle with him as well. So, yeah, that was super tough. Just really, really unbelievably tough, but a lot of fun.
I know you wanted to go on top. You're a racer's racer, and you wanted to win this race, and I'm sure you felt like you probably needed to as well. What were those last few laps like? Burning the fuel down, burning the push to pass, just trying to get back to Ross Banfield.
It was tough. I kind of messed up a little bit with the push to pass. I was trying to time it, so like I knew he had a ton left, and I knew he was just gonna leave it latched on the whole time. But I probably jumped the gun just a little bit too early. So then I had to wait the recharge timeout, and it just timed it just a little bit too wrong. Like if I'd have not pressed it and just kept it all for the last lap, it would have maybe given me a shot down into the chicane proper instead of, you know, trying to get it to the line on the checkup and everything. But To be honest, it was a little bit more relaxed after I was able to break away from Nathan. It was pretty tough until then. I think, really kind of the hardest part of the race was probably after that safety car. I lost the lead. I was a bit unexpected about that. I was like, oh, okay, no, I've taken too much fuel, obviously. So I was like, okay, I'm a bit behind. But I knew on the longer runs, where in that first run, I've been really, really conscious of saving rears, and it really paid off. I think it kind of gave me the chance at the end, and it was a little bit lucky, to be able to break away from Nathan. But yeah, at the end, it was kind of just like, wow, I'd like to win the race. It's always cool to win.
Absolutely. I'm purely curious. On a scale of 1 to 10, just jumping in this car, I don't know what kind of experience we have leading into it, but just racing this car here today, what do you rate this race car? Because it seems like a lot of people have been turned on to it with this round. I've been turned on to it. I love it. I'm curious your thoughts.
I'm not normally a kind of single-seater person, and to be honest, like when I've driven this, I developed the wets for this, so kind of when I drove it in the dry, I was like, yeah, it's it's pretty fun, single-seater. Like it's lightweight, it's got a lot of downforce, a lot of tire, not too much power. It kind of feels like to me sort of what a Formula 1 car really should be instead of a big heavy bus. So like I knew it was kind of cool. It's a little bit maybe kind of swings the rear tires around a little bit too much for me, which makes me a tick uncomfortable, but I know other people like it. So I was kind of like on the fence. I was like, yeah, this seems sort of like I understand why people will like this, but then when I raced it, then I was like, oh, okay, now I completely get why people enjoy racing this. This is really, really good. Like, you can really battle in it. The overtake stuff is engaging. You got to plan it. There is an element of tire deg, with the rears going away over the stint. Obviously, we kind of had like a little bit of a bigger element than like an official race will have, having to do the pit stop for fuel and everything. But yeah, it was really, really cool. So I guess probably a 9. I'd prefer a little bit more support from the rear tires to feel properly comfortable with it, but how it races and everything, it's really awesome. Like, that was super fun.
Well, incredible job, incredible season for you, Christian. It was a pleasure covering this season of your racing here at the Major Series. Congratulations.
Thank you. You too as well. Thank you for the broadcast. They're really, really good. I always like to go back and watch them.
Christian Challoner, you see the moment there between he and Nathan Dowd after the race. Christian, one more time, congratulations. We'll move on down and grab the driver who has to finish second in this championship. That is Nathan Dowd. I can only imagine he's usually kind of a man of few words here, Blue, but I can only imagine the emotions that have to be going through his head currently.
I mean, absolutely emotional race for Dowd here today. But fantastic one at that. Dowd, you were driving so good, and you were doing so well, but it just wasn't enough. How does that feel?
It's definitely disappointing. Yeah, that's pretty crazy the whole year, and then it just comes down to just being just not quite good enough at the very end there to keep up with them. I kind of made a small mistake there after we were battling back and forth a little bit, and some bad luck with a lap car there, and then basically lost the draft on them, and Ross was putting down good time, and Christian was sticking to his draft, and I knew then it was pretty much over unless they made a mistake. So yeah, it was pretty disappointing. It was still a great year. That was a lot of fun to just be a part of a battle like that, right? I mean, coming into this year, I was not even thinking this kind of possibility, and then just having that first half of the year be what it was and getting, I don't know, 5-6 wins or something crazy, and then yeah, and then I think Christian basically did the same thing or close to it in the second half of the year, and that's just good enough, I guess, on the way the points come out. I think he just gets me by a bit, and so yeah, congrats to him. That's, I don't know, 3 or 4 in a row for him now or something like that. I don't know, but he's really good, so I can't be too down about losing out to a guy like him. I gave it the best I had, so to be as close as I was, I think I'd be pretty proud about that. And gives a lot of motivation, going in the next year to see that I can compete at this kind of level with those guys. Just got to find a few more tenths at the end of the races here to hang on and fight to the very end, but we're not far off, so that's good to know.
And absolutely wonderful fighting all throughout it. Now, when we interviewed you back in Bathurst about this round, you mentioned being uncomfortable with this car. If this car returns next season, are you going to be more comfortable in it?
Oh, for sure. This car is awesome. Like, I always had fun in the F1 rounds before. We've done a few of those in the years past, but this car is similar, but it's just way more forgiving. I feel like you can really push it, and it's not just gonna kill you for doing that. And even the practice in the wet was a lot of fun in this car. This car is probably one of the best rain cars in the whole service, in my opinion, from what I've ran anyways. So I really hope this car keeps getting used, because this is really, really fun car to race, and you can really race in it and battle people. And the way the boost works, it's like, it's not too overpowering. It's just enough to, to have those kinds of battles that we were having. And it's, so yeah, definitely now that I've got, this experience with it, I'd really be looking forward to it if it came back. So hopefully it does.
Well, carry some confidence into it. I like that you learned it. I'm excited to hear that you like it. It's probably one of my favorite cars too. Now, final question I have for you. You were really, really close to Banfield about midway through the race. I mean, less than a second separating you two. And then it felt like suddenly you were 5 seconds back. What happened there?
Yeah, I think that was kind of what I alluded to earlier when we were kind of battling there back and forth, all three of us. So I think I made a move and got by, nearly past both of them, but stayed in front of Christian. Christian fought back, got back by me, so we ended up back where we were. And then I think I just kind of took too much out of my tires a little too early there. It felt like I just I could really feel it in the hairpin. Just the rear grip wasn't there, just struggling, and so I was having to be a lot more cautious. And yeah, I just feel like I kind of maybe overheated my tires or something there. And then I think I caught a lap car at a bad spot, and that cost me like another, 1 to 2 seconds. And by that point, I was out of the draft, and Ross was pushing hard, and so yeah, that's pretty much all it was. But I was, to be fair, I was pushing pretty hard just to be with those guys and battling, so I knew my tires were going to be pretty shot at the end, and they just had a little bit more extra there, and that's how it worked out.
Well, absolutely fabulous season, even if you unofficially didn't win it. And yeah, thank you for racing it. It was a joy to watch you race these, man. You are fantastic.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys did a great job broadcasting. I watched the race usually the day after every round, and you guys do a great job covering all the action, and you guys do great stuff. Hopefully we have you guys back next year and give it another try. So thank you.
Of course, well, can't wait to see you back here in 2026.
Nathan Dowd, a fantastic driver all season long, and held the points lead. I hate to say this, held the points lead from round 1 into round 12, and lost it there in the back end of the very last race of the season. It's gonna be a painful one for him to swallow, but on the other side of things, on the other end of the spectrum, usually we talk to the winner first. In this case, we had a couple of championship competitors to get to. Ross, you are tonight's winner, so let's go back to just the race in a vacuum, I suppose. First in pre-Q, you go out here, start out with barely using any of that push to pass. You had that lead and then that caution. Of course, Christian had gotten to you, 5-6 laps prior to that. How relieving was it to have that caution to reset things and put you back ahead?
Well, I was taking a gamble with it because of the feel, because I noticed during practice they were all running times that are way faster than what they should be on paper if we're all on the same amount of fuel. So I had a sneaking suspicion they were like way short on fuel. So I was planning on undercutting them when the safety car came out. So my goal was just to hold them off as long as I comfortably could, and then, you know, if the safety car came out, it came out. If it didn't have come out, I don't know if I would have been able to offset the lead Christian would have gained, because I was almost like running 7 gallons more than him, it seems. So luck was on my side that time.
I know you say luck is on your side. It didn't seem like you did much luck tonight. You were fantastic in those cars. So what, I guess, what feels natural or comfortable to you about this Super Formula? It's still pretty new to the service. I think for the most part, some guys haven't figured out, but I think everybody's still kind of learning new things about it. What feels right about it to you?
Just so you can really manhandle it. You know, to go fast in the car, you got to go fast because of the downforce. So the faster you go, the more grip you get. So I'm naturally, I tend to overdrive cars, which is why I usually don't do so good in like GT3s or GT4s. So this car kind of caters to my driving style, where I can just send it and it hooks up.
And of course, we have a little while until the 2026 season comes around, but the schedule comes out tomorrow. If there's any one particular thing that you want to see on that calendar for 2026 when it gets revealed tomorrow, what are you looking forward to? What do you want to see on there?
I just want more open wheelers, because every time an oval comes out, that's when bad things happen for me. So if I could just get like more road courses, I think I'll have a better chance next season.
There you go, Ross Banfield, fantastic in the back half of 2025. I think maybe it took a little bit to warm up, but once you hit these road rounds, especially here in the summer and fall of this year, you've been fantastic to watch. Ross, congratulations, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Ross Banfield with a big day here at Suzuka Circuit. That wraps it up as far as driver interviews, which means we can also conclude today's North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote. And wouldn't you know it here, Blue, Lynn Kinchlow, for the run that Lynn had going, is going to take Driver of the Day. That, I think, is so deserving. I know, going back to the Intimidator, I have a very specific memory of Lynn running well in that race for some reason. I hope that's correct. I hope it's not a fever dream or something. I've been sick recently. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But I just, Lynn has had a lot of good runs in 2025 and a lot of bad luck to match it. So it was cool to see Lynn up front, or at least moving forward again tonight. Unfortunately, Lynn did get in that crash. Hate to see that for him, but hey, it's really cool to see Lynn get, I think, awarded in at least some facet here with the Driver of the Day honors. That is really cool to see.
I mean, I'm just happy for Lynn here. As far as I know, since I've been here broadcasting with you, beside you since Petit Le Mans, I believe this is the first time anyone outside of the top 3 has won it.
I think so. I think you're right there, or at least very close to it. So definitely very, very cool for Lynn Kinchlow to get Driver of the Day honors here today. It's a very unofficial thing we do, but still very cool to talk about. When it's all said and done, again, these points are coming into today. It sounds like this has reversed the lead. So Christian Challoner again, unofficially, but I mean, this is per Mike Willett of all people here. But unofficially, until things are completely officially tallied, I'm going to keep stressing, just in case, just God forbid, but unofficially, technically, even though we've confirmed that at this point, per race admins and such, it does sound like Christian Challoner is our champion here in 2025. I'm always so careful just in case of something. I don't think it's going to change, but I'm always very careful about it. And then, of course, in the team standings, per Mike Willett again, it does sound like Giga Racing Team is going to take those top honors as well. And boy, that is a big, I would say, Giga day for them. For Christian to get the championship, for Giga Racing Team to get the championship as well. I mean, that is huge. And hopefully for Sector 5, because I know it's going to be a big blow to them, it's going to be a big blow to them, I think, in the morale department. Hopefully Sector 5 comes out in 2026 swinging even harder and for the fences, and hopefully we see them back on top again at least competing at this highest level like they have all year long in 2025. This, again, a look back on what has now been Blue. I know you only joined us here for the back end of the season, Petit Le Mans through the Japanese Grand Prix, but what a season it's been. I reminisce back to January 12th to open up the season in the Daytona 2.4. IMSA classes there at Daytona, then through the Intimidator, and every event since. Such a fun season. So much fun. I just want to thank Mike Willett, Garen Batten, Lynn Kinchlow, everybody with the Major Series, Majors Garage, Sud Speed in that form of association with MEC and having us had done the 24-ish hours of Road Atlanta. I just want to thank everybody involved for having us here for 2025. This has been a pleasure. I so much admire everything that the Major Series is about, and I consider myself, and I think you might agree, I consider myself very, very lucky to have been able to cover these broadcasts here in this calendar year, and I hope to continue in 2026 and well beyond, because it has been so much fun, and I know there is so much more fun to be had. I know there's a lot of great things on the horizon with the Major Series, MEC, and everything else. Let's switch over to this graphic. Didn't mean to have them both up at the same time, but let's switch over to here and see what we have upcoming for us at the channel. Before we get out of here, we do want to talk about short track racing coming up. I know a lot of you guys still watching, or I'm all over the buttons today. I know a lot of you guys still watching are likely road course fans, drivers, what have you, but I urge you, if you're at all interested, even slightly in short track racing, we have a lot of it coming up this week. If you like oval racing, even for the crashes, there's bound to be a few of them in these races, but these are going to be great races as well. We have street stocks and late model stocks tomorrow at Five Flag Speedway down in Pensacola, Florida. Then we have ARCA cars at North Wilkesboro Speedway, the classic racetrack that was revived and now repaved on iRacing. North Wilkesboro Speedway going to be a lot of fun. That's with ARCA cars and the BRB Sundance Pro Series on Tuesday, and then it's back to Impel Motorsports National Tour action on Wednesday and Thursday, with preliminary racing and the super late models on Wednesday and feature racing on Thursday. But back to the Major Series and wrapping up this season, Blue. Again, I know your time here wasn't necessarily all that long, but it's been a lot of fun to share the broadcast booth with you for a while now. If I can get these words out, I'm a little choked up. How do you sum these four races, these four broadcasts up?
I mean, it's tough for sure. I think it's been honestly a highlight of my week. Every time that I see a race coming up, I get super excited, and I'm so ready every time. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you for letting me come in here and kind of infiltrate in here with you and nerd out about this. I appreciate you so much for that. And to everyone in the majors, I joined just earlier with Race Control, just around January this year, about the first MEC race. I don't know if you did those, but that was wonderful, and that got me here, and it got me to meet you, and yeah, no, I'm choked up too, man.
It's always difficult, always sucks to end a season, but it's also a celebration of what has been, and it has been a fantastic year with the Major Series, and boy, 2025 will go down as a very exciting year around this series. I want to give a big thank you to those who help us out at the channel: Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. It's been a lot of fun here in 2025. We must get on to what is next. 2026 coming up very soon. We invite you. I pasted the website link in the YouTube chat, so you can go check that out. The schedule drops tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure exactly how they're dropping it. I just know it's dropping tomorrow. That is the 2026 Major Series calendar, releasing tomorrow, November the 17th. Keep an eye out for that and everything else the Major Series has to offer. For myself, Andrew Cardinale IV, for all of my broadcast partners throughout 2025, namely Zach Murtis, I believe Zach Lindgren, possibly Zach King, certainly Blue Carl here in the back end of 2025. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time here on Pit Stop TV, and hopefully with the Major Series in January. We'll see you then. Otherwise, just have a great night. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.